MADA safety training site on the MADA Loss Control YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to talk about hand and finger injuries, cuts, and abrasions. We're going to discuss safety tips for preventing cuts, burns, and lacerations to hands and fingers. Hands and finger injuries account for the top 2 most frequent injury to dealership employees by body part. Cuts, punctures, abrasion, and burns are the most common injuries. Crush injuries are also very common. Most are completely preventable if the proper type of personal protective equipment is used. PPE, and the type of personal protective equipment that a technician should use to protect himself. Wearing the appropriate PPE is important to remaining accidents-free. Mechanics gloves, nitrile gloves, rubber or chemical resistant gloves are all types of PPE that should be used at various times depending upon the process used and the materials working with. Mechanics gloves should be used to reduce burns, lacerations, punctures, and abrasions. Nitrile gloves should be worn to reduce exposure to oil and greases. Rubber or chemical resistant gloves must be worn when working with caustic chemicals such as battery acid, engine and wheel cleaners, red hot type cleaners, etc. Let's talk a little bit about razor blades. A big source of injuries to hands and fingers that we receive are from people using razor blades without handles and trying to hold a sharp razor blade with their hands with no gloves or any other type of protection available. So always use razor blades with a handle. Never try to use a sharp blade by holding the blade only. We've actually, during safety visits to dealership, have watched people cutting something or scraping something with a razor blade, then they take the razor blade and put it in their teeth while they're using their hands to do something else. Don't do this. Imagine slipping and falling or tripping on a hose, landing on your face, and you got a razor blade in your mouth. A few other things that we see, if you look at the pictures that are provided on this slide, the top right picture shows some razor blades that have obviously not been stored or discarded properly, and they've been there long enough to develop some nasty rust. Just imagine the type of injury that would bring and the kind of problems you could have by getting cut with a razor blade that is that rusty and in that bad a shape. So it's very important to store razor blades properly, not on electrical outlets, benches, or on top of pressure washers in detail. Keep them picked up and put up when you're not in use. When discarding a razor blade, make sure you discard it properly. Don't just discard them in the trash and let the person who's dumping the trash get a nasty cut. Tape the razor blade to keep it from cutting somebody that's, like I said, is unloading the trash. Or, better yet, get an empty coffee can with a lid, cut a slit in the top, and drop the razor blades in the coffee can. You know, a box works, or a clean paint can could work also. Never ever, again, just never ever carry a razor blade in your mouth. Another common cause of injuries to hands and fingers are working with, on, or around sharp and hot engines or vehicle components without proper gloves in use. There's a lot of casting marks and a lot of rough edges inside doors on vehicles, underneath vehicles, and on components that we work with. You really need to use a good pair of cut-resistant mechanics gloves for removing or installing vehicle components. And just make sure you have the right kind of gloves, again, for the task that you're doing. Don't lift by hand if it's not necessary, and make sure to support any vehicle component on a jack or hoist properly. We've received serious lacerations. A lot occur. Serious lacerations do occur when employees try to catch falling parts that were not secured properly to workbenches and jacks. We receive a lot of injuries from dealership employees. Serious lacerations, cuts clear to the bone, lacerations to tendons, really potentially serious injury just from people trying to catch heavy objects that are falling off jacks because they weren't secured properly. Bottom line, always secure vehicle components to jacks. Use the straps and chains like the jack manufacturer intended. Remember that hand and finger injuries are the most common injuries to dealership service personnel. Make sure to wear your PPE. It won't protect protect you if you don't use it. Most hand and finger injuries are completely preventable with the proper caution and the proper type of safety equipment used. Store, discard, and use razor blades properly. Don't just lay them on benches, let them fall on floors, or set them on electrical outlets. Make sure that you use them, store them, and again, discard them properly. And just don't take shortcuts. Use a razor blade with a handle. Make sure you're wearing the right kind of gloves. Just don't take a shortcut. Don't think that you can just grab that part for a second and get lucky. That might be all it needs to end up with a nasty laceration to a hand, a finger, or like I said, a tendon or something worse. So that's the conclusion of this video. Thank you for watching our video, and let's be safe out there.